Don't let your dream of building on a beautiful wooded lot turn into a nightmare. Hi, I'm Craig Casino, president and founder of Tree Green, your tree MD, located in Winfield, Illinois. If you or someone you know plans to build on a beautifully wooded lot, there are definite steps you can take to increase your chances of preserving valuable trees you undoubtedly paid a premium for. As far as digging a foundation is concerned, what is happening on this property goes against any semblance of common sense. It's almost like someone is going out of their way to kill these trees on purpose. After removing 4 trees from this site to make way for the foundation, steps could have been undertaken to greatly enhance the chances of survival for the remaining trees. After seeing what's happened on this property, it's highly doubtful which, if any, will survive.
I'm Jen D. Giovanni, certified arborist and office manager at Tree Green since 2006. Buyers pay a premium for beautifully wooded lots to build on. Before any construction begins, before the first truck even shows up on a property, we always recommend the property owner and/or builder call in a certified arborist to help devise a tree protection and preservation program. This fact surprises most people, but all trees, even 300 to 400-year-old trees, have 90% of their feeder roots in the top 12 inches of soil. Feeder roots are the roots responsible for supplying water, minerals, and nutrients to keep trees as healthy as possible. Deeper roots are only there for structural support and do little, if anything, to supply nourishment for the tree. From the time a tree germinates from seed, its feeder roots actually train themselves to stay close to the surface, which allows them to absorb the lighter rainfalls we most often receive. For every 10 rain events that occur, approximately 9 of them are of a lighter variety. Those all-day soaking rain events are the exception, not the rule. There is a second reason feeder roots stay close to the surface: oxygen. Roots love well-oxygenated soil. Here, Mike and Joe are displaying the surprising power behind our fertilization probes. These probes forcefully shoot product in 4 horizontal directions underground, enriching a wide swath of earth. The often unrealized benefit behind these probes is that the 300 pounds per square inch of pressure behind them creates mini explosions underground, helping to break up compacted soil by creating cracks and fissures, allowing oxygen to reach the roots more readily. 300 pounds per square inch of pressure is hard to visualize until you realize that a typical garden hose only delivers about 40 pounds per square inch. Here, Megan and I are actively feeding a maple tree. You can't tell from the photo, but the probe is pushed 3 to 4 inches underground. From that level, our rich suspension of minerals, nutrients, and amino acids activates and slowly leaches its way deeper underground by way of gravity and future rainfall, enriching roots that thrive in that all-important top 12 inches of soil.
Had someone called to have us come out prior to beginning any work around these beautiful trees, we would have made 4 suggestions. The first thing we would have done would have been to identify which trees were to remain and be protected. Next step would be to hire a company with an underground circular saw specifically designed to neatly slice through the underground roots down to a depth of 12 inches, where those all important feeder roots live. This is known as root pruning. Root pruning prevents a backhoe from violently breaking roots in half and ripping them out of the ground. The roots shown here were obviously ripped out by a backhoe and will never regenerate. These roots spent several weeks exposed to the elements, drying out as they baked in the sun. Had these roots been neatly saw cut, they would have remained underground, protected in a cool, damp environment, and under those conditions would have started to regenerate. Secondly, if there wasn't a spot on the property large enough to store excavated soil and clay well away from tree root zones, our next recommendation would have been to haul the spoils off-site temporarily and then return them later to backfill once the foundation was completed. Why is hauling the spoils off-site so important? Piling tons of clay and black dirt over the top of the outstretched root zones of remaining trees clogs what are referred to as the micro and macro pores that naturally exist in the soil. These pores allow roots to breathe and absorb moisture. Shutting down those passages causes root suffocation and death. Thirdly, we would have recommended the installation of protective fencing extending to the outer drip line of trees to be saved, or as far out from the tree trunks as possible. Fencing prevents machinery operators from conveniently forgetting or indiscriminately driving over or parking equipment on top of tree root zones. Heavy equipment, even heavy stacks of lumber or shingles, is highly frowned upon because the weight compresses the soil, further closing off pores. When you consider that even foot traffic and lawnmowers compress the soil over the years, shutting down pores, you can imagine what heavy equipment or construction materials must do. The fourth and final recommendation would have been to wrap the trunks of trees that couldn't be cordoned off with fencing, with 10-foot high vertical timbers encircling the trunks to protect them. As you can see here on this same site, this protective measure did not happen. This tree was struck by a backhoe or dump truck. Just one more insult to the trees on this property. Since trees circulate water and nutrients just below the bark through the tree's sapwood or xylem, tearing this much bark off the trunk is highly detrimental and most likely fatal with this much damage. So how long might the remaining trees on this site live at this point? When trees on a property under construction are disrespected, they don't necessarily show immediate signs of decline. Like any other living organism, trees will fight to survive. Even with trees suffering extensive root damage, it often takes a year or two for them to realize what has happened before they even begin showing the negative effects related to construction.
Hi, I'm Megan Mays. I'm a diagnostic arborist and assistant office manager. I've been with Tree Green since 2014. It's a well-known fact that trees directly affected by construction can struggle for many years, not dying due to root damage from construction for 5, 10, or even 15 years. It will be a miracle if the remaining trees on this site survive anywhere near that long. If any of the trees on this property manage to survive, it will be due to the fact that a large enough percentage of their roots extended into a neighboring property and were not subjected to what the roots in the construction zone were subjected to. In cases like this, where some roots were affected by construction while some were not affected at all, these are the trees that tend to struggle for many years as they themselves try to figure out whether they can survive with only half their original root system intact. The hope is that the unaffected roots on the neighbor's property can temporarily sustain the tree as the tree awaits the hopeful regeneration of its damaged roots. But as you probably already guessed, that regeneration will not happen here, as root pruning did not occur.
Obviously, there is some cost involved in bringing in a certified arborist to supervise a construction site, but that expense is nowhere near the funds that can be saved by the property owner over the years to come. Construction damaged trees mean ongoing trimming expenses as limbs die from the long-term stress. And if dying limbs result in dead trees, the cost of removing large trees when there is now a house beneath them can be extremely expensive. But the biggest savings is in property value. It's a well-known fact that a property containing mature, healthy trees adds up to 15% to a property's value. When you look at it that way, working with a certified arborist to protect every tree possible is a worthwhile decision. Tree Green is a family-owned business. Jen and Megan, two of our daughters whom you met earlier, love the tree industry as much as I do, and together they run the most important aspects of the company. I opened Tree Green in 1970, and I'm happy to say, with Jen and Megan on board, we are here for the long haul. If you live in the western suburbs of Chicago and you're concerned about trees on your property that don't look quite right, give us a call. By the same token, if you'd simply like a game plan as to how we can work together in keeping your existing trees healthy and happy, feel free to contact us. Tree Green, your tree MD.